Hey guys, Matthew, and welcome to the 17th video of my bossing series. So today we're going to be looking at the last of the forgotten invitation requirement, which is going to be the twisted distant memory. So a quick recap on how to get these maps and of course how to try to maximize profit. So there is a chance, I don't know the actual odds, of getting a map to drop from any T11 plus maps, map bosses. When you kill them, there's a chance that you get one of the memories, but again, I don't know the odds. If you do get neural pathways, you can increase those odds, whatever they are, by 1%. There's also a chance that Zana, however extremely rare, can sell you one of these maps. So that's pretty much how you go about that. Otherwise, you can always just buy them on the trade website. In terms of maximizing profit, as I've mentioned in yesterday's video, so I'm gonna go over that very quickly. Vivid memories for monsters in areas have 1% chance to drop a synthesized item. So this is like a jackpot, right? The odds of getting something that's actually good, an actual good synthesized implicit on an actual good base, very, very, very small, but it's a chance nonetheless. And it's definitely something that's not, you know, worthless. That being said, the 100% increased effect of additional modifiers on unique synthesized maps is very, very good. I'll showcase what that means in the actual map itself. But essentially that's going to be your main money maker if you plan on spamming hundreds and hundreds of these maps. All right, next we have a synthetic source. So unique bosses drop a well-rolled fractured item. Again, very lottery based, very, very rare. 99.9% of the time this is going to be completely garbage, but there's always a chance. But the reason why you get synthetic source is for synthesized unique items dropped in areas have 3 synthesized implicit modifiers. That's pretty huge because it means that if we go back to the loot, right, and all of these drop the same exact things, they share the same loot. So Storm's Gift, Master Tribunal, Peripetea, and any of the 5 different circled X rings for the different heralds, right? So any of these, they can have between 1 and 3 implicits. Typically it's going to be like 2, I would say, on average. But with synthetic source, it's going to be 3 every single time, right? So you're getting an extra 50% implicits, which is going to increase your odds of getting, well, of course, good implicits, which is what's going to potentially can make the stars align and you get something very, very good. For example, now, of course, this is not something you could get right now in the league because it's a legacy item. But if we look at this circle of guilt that I've had here, I've had this for a while now. It's a legacy circle of guilt, right? Where it has the critical strike multiplier, which is insane, alongside the vulnerability on hit on, of course, a Herald of Purity ring for, of course, physical damage. So pretty much the best implicits you could get. Well, there's actually 3 implicits. There's also the cold resistance. And then what matters as well, not just the implicits, but also what matters is the actual affixes on the item itself. So in this case, we have Herald of Purity has increased buff effect and the increased physical damage while affected by Herald of Purity. This is probably one of the best Circle of Guilt in the entire game, especially due to the fact that it's legacy. But just to showcase the kind of items that you could get, it increases your odds of getting good implicits since you get 3. But of course, the actual affixes matter themselves. Not every Circle of Guilt is going to be the same because not every single one of those is going to have the double damage, right, on the buff effect and the physical damage while affected by whatever the herald is. So that's pretty much what you're looking for, double damage. All right, now that we've talked about that, let's get right into the actual boss himself and his different mechanics, and then of course the showcase. So the first thing he does is the synthesis beam. So very simple, right? He has a beam, he spins in circle. If you get hit by the beam even once, you will get significantly slowed, and it does a lot of damage. So you really don't want to get hit by it even a single time, because again, the slow is going to make it so not getting hit by it again is going to be very difficult. The best way to not get hit by it is either to do what he's doing in here, right, where he just jumps around or use some sort of moon ability as fast as this boss is spinning, or what you can do is just sit in the same place and just blink whatever blink you have, like flame dash, over the laser every single time. You should not have any issues because he doesn't spin that fast. All right, next he has this summon filaments. As pretty much all of the other bosses on the outer ring of the arena, there's going to be these different, these little filaments that spawn and that they throw projectiles at you or whatever they do. They help him during the battle. All right, next you have the Celestial Vortex. As all the bosses do, they put some Vortex on the ground. This time, however, it does lightning damage over time and it slows you. So this Vortex paired with a beam can actually be a pretty disgusting combo if you get hit by either of them because of the slow. All right, next he has a ball lightning that he throws, very slow projectile, right? Very small. This is the equivalent of his auto attacks. This is basically yeah, what he's going to do most of the time. Next, he has the beam refraction. Now, this is a very interesting attack because what he does is he charges up a beam and then he throws it on the filaments, and then all these different filaments, right, the ones that are actually activated, which are going to start to glow up very, very quickly, and then they're going to shoot lasers, a bunch of lasers between each other and between the boss, and this is extremely, extremely deadly. The thing is, there's not a lot of time to actually react to this. You basically just need to see which one of the filaments are glowing and then try to run towards the ones that are not glowing, right? Or that's something you could do, is instead of looking for the ones that are glowing, look for the ones that are not glowing and go towards these, because otherwise you're probably going to die. This does a ton of damage. All right, next he has the Mortar Return, which is going to be 3 different versions of this. So this one is basically where he throws it in a bit of a, a cross pattern, right? So he throws one in front. You can see it right here, right? And then to the sides, right? So a cross pattern. And then what he does is after throwing these, which do damage, then these projectiles are actually going to go back towards him. So you never want to be in front of one of these blue bubbles on the ground. I'll showcase in what that looks like. Then the second part is, instead of throwing them in a cross, is he throws a bunch of them in a straight line, and they do overlap, and then of course they're going to return. And then the final one, which is probably the worst of all of them, is that he actually throws them in a bit of a I guess you could say no, actually, wait, yeah, so this one's actually interesting because it's the worst of them, but it's the best of them, if you will. So he only throws a single projectile, as you can see, only one, but they actually come back to him kind of like a fork. So there's actually a lot of area that they cover. So even if this looks like the easiest one to dodge because it's a single projectile compared to a cross or just a bunch of them, since the way that they come back is like in a fork formation, right, or in a cone, if you will, that does make it harder. Okay, so that's pretty much all of it. And then, of course, there's going to be the add phases as well. Right, so now that we've looked at that, let's go ahead and jump into the actual showcase. So Twisted Distant Memory, as always, you're going to be clearing with Freezing Pulse on the 5-link setup and some pretty, like, whatever gear. Very, very cheap. Probably about 1 Exalt for my entire setup in a League Start scenario. And then for the boss, we're going to swap to Ice Spear. Okay, one thing that I mentioned at the start of the video is something about Synthetic Source and why it is a very good node if you intend to be farming like tons and tons and tons of these. So if you look at this side here, this is what's going to dictate whether the map is easy or hard. For example, this map has monsters have 100% increased area of effect, so that's going to be pretty damn annoying. But what I want to actually pay attention to right now is these mods right here, which start with the synthesized. So synthesized magic monsters have 25% chance to drop a currency item. Synthesized rare monsters have 30% chance to drop a veiled item, right? These modifiers here, the ones that say synthesized monsters have a chance to drop whatever item, these are actually the modifiers that are affected by vivid memories by 100% increase, which means double. What that means is that if you have this mod here, synthesized magic monsters have 25% chance to drop a currency item. If you had vivid memories, that would be 50% chance, right? So it's quite good. You see, I've dropped an Orb of Alteration and a Jeweler's and a Fusing and some Chance Orbs and all that. Well, if I had that vivid memories, it would be twice that many, right? So if you're going to be clearing tons and tons of these maps, right, and actually full clearing them, so not just for the invitation farming, but actually full clearing the entirety of the map, and of course then pairing this up with the invitation and all that, you are going to definitely want vivid memories. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the boss. As always, going to swap over to Ice Spear, and then we can see the mechanics. Alright, so this is going to start with just him throwing the ball, lightning, and projectiles, right? As I was saying, this is like the equivalent of the auto attacks. Now, there is burning ground on this map, which is going to make this boss a little bit annoying, because where I can actually stand and be safe is going to be a lot less of the actual arena, but whatever. So again, with the ball lightnings, right? Pretty cool stuff. Now, I actually got hit by the ball lightning. There's such a little room for error in this boss fight right now. I kind of want to just blow him up, but I can't do that because then you guys aren't going to see anything about it. But here we go. So we're just going to put some totems down in order to get him to start doing other stuff. So here we go. He starts off with a vortex. So this is what I was talking about with the returning projectiles, right? You can see them very, very well. He throws them and then they return to him. So some more of the ball lightning. This is actually crazy annoying. What's making this really hard right now, and the reason why the ball lightning are killing me, is because of the 100% AoE, right? See the size of this vortex right now? This is huge, right? And the reason for that is because the monsters have 100% increased AoE, which makes this fight so much harder, kind of on par with something like an attacking Caspian, maybe even worse. Look at the size of that thing.
Must have time to
Okay.
my will.
So, especially because this build does not deal very well with any sort of degens. So here we go again. He's throwing the projectiles. They're going to return towards him. This is one of his main attacks. All right, so this is where I was talking about, right? You see the filaments, they started to basically light up just the smallest bit, and then they start to really just shoot lasers all towards each other, but also towards the boss. So this is probably the deadliest attack of all of them. If it wasn't for the AoE right now, this boss is actually quite easy, but it still shouldn't be too hard if we actually just want to blow him up, right? Just like so, right? We can very easily kill this guy if we wanted to do that. Alright, so when the bubble starts to show up around him, that means that he's about to start spawning some ads. Now we've died again to the ball lightning projectile. Slightly annoying. Gonna try not to fill this map. There's very little space for actual error here because of the amount of stuff that's on the map. So I'm probably just gonna try to blow them up so I don't fail this. Here we are. Definitely a very annoying mod. This one here. Monsters have 100% increased area of effect. But that's actually something I wanted to talk about. I know a lot of people have been watching these videos and kind of asking me, like, can't you just like one-shot them anyways? Like, what's the reason why you'd care about the actual mechanics when you could just rock into the boss room and one-shot the boss? Well, the reason is for maps like these, right, where there's a lot of things that are going to be significantly harder to dodge and whatnot, so you kind of need to know what you're looking for. But the real reason is for tanky, like extremely tanky maps. So for example, if instead of having these damage mods, right, like burning ground and area of effect, let's say the boss had reduced damage from crits and something like, I don't know, resistances or monster life or something like that, 70% monster life, the boss is going to be significantly harder for me to actually deal with because I can't walk into the room and one-shot him. So what that means is I'm going to be fighting the boss for a much longer period of time, especially on super budget gear. So I need to know the mechanics in order not to just, well, int and die 6 times and then lose my actual encounter. So that's why I personally focus on learning the different mechanics of the actual fights, so that whenever I encounter a map that is really hard to deal with, then I know what to look for so that I don't like just die over and over again and then lose my investment in the map itself. That being said, this one was definitely a close one. Trying to showcase these different mechanics while they're all happening, and the AoE mod made this quite challenging, but you know, as you can see, we still did it just fine. Okay, before I go though, as always, I do want to say a massive thank you to my supporters. So Joseph, Atticus, Don, Brandon, Fruitfly, Reese, Panda, Central Bard, Adamant, welcome back, Neroth, Jacob, Thomas, Snake, The Great Master, Raymond, Alex, Emil, Tim, Grimoire, Lost with the Map, Flame Scorpion, Nathaniel, Richard, Johnny, Scott, Ronald, Willie, Kevin, Munkus, Mercury, Bitizen, and Axel, as well as, of course, everybody else who has supported me in the past and anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next guide. Peace.